So I just finished watching the Suns and Mavs game. I was only able to watch the second half of the game, but I feel like I was still able to get a look at both teams, and both teams were very, very impressive. First off, with the Suns, they looked great on the defensive end, especially Mikal Bridges. He was making life tough on Luka Doncic, and Luka still put up his numbers because he's a great player, right? And superstar players, they're going to put up great numbers regardless, but Mikal Bridges was making life tough on him, and that's all you can ask of a player like that. You don't want to have star players just completely torch your defense. They're going to do it every now and then, but if you make life tougher on star players, on superstar players, it's less likely that they're going to torch you for like 40, 50 points and just blow you off the court, right? So Mikal Bridges looks like he can be a guy that the Suns use as their number one defender, right? The guy that takes on the responsibility of guarding the team's best perimeter player, and that's something that's very valuable to a team that wants to contend and win games and compete in the playoffs, go far in the playoffs, all that. You need a guy who can defend the other team's best player, and Mikal Bridges can do that. On top of that, he was great on the offensive end too. He's always been a great shooter since coming into the league, but the fact that he's just doing it now and it's leading to winning basketball, it appears. I mean, it's still early on. We have to see how they do the rest of the season, but it appears that now his style of play is going to be contributing to winning basketball. That's just really, really great to see. Then there's also Cam Johnson, kind of the same thing as Mikal Bridges. He was playing great defense, obviously a great shooter, but he was just kind of doing it to a lesser degree because we didn't see him guarding a superstar player like Luka Doncic on the other end, but he was still playing very, very good defense. DeAndre Ayton was also very impactful on the defensive end. He was doing a good job on Kleber, closing out, contesting without fouling, all that. And sometimes guys like Kleber, they can give bigs challenges on some nights because of their play style, because certain centers aren't used to guarding out on the perimeter. But Ayton did a good job there. He was also great defending in the pick and roll too. I thought that he was able to stay with the guards and keep up with them. He wasn't falling for fakes or anything like that. He was good. He was staying in front of the guards in the pick and roll. He was just positioned very well. He looked good on the defensive end. On top of that, Chris Paul, he's obviously a great defender. He's been a great defender throughout his whole career, but he was great again tonight, and this team has just got a really good defensive unit, really good all-around defensive team, and they're going to make life tough on teams that go up against them each and every night. They're going to make life tough. On the offensive end, though, Devin Booker, their big three of Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and DeAndre Ayton kind of struggled. Devin Booker was good in the first quarter from what I heard. He dropped like 11 points, and then I think he finished with like 19 or 20, so he was kind of cold the rest of the way. Chris Paul only had 9 points or so, but he made some big plays down the stretch. Ayton had some big buckets down the stretch. The important thing, though, was that they showed a lot of potential on the offensive end, I thought. Chris Paul, he had a few plays where he was playing in the pick and roll, and just by virtue of him being such a good pick and roll player, he was able to manipulate switches, and he would just get the ball into DeAndre Ayton, and DeAndre Ayton had a few buckets where he just was able to easily score because he had a mismatch. He had like a guard or a smaller player on him, right? And then in those situations, DeAndre Ayton's going to get tons of easy buckets, or they're going to have to bring a double team. And this Phoenix team, they've got tons of shooters, so DeAndre Ayton will be able to kick out to those guys. There were also a lot of plays that I noticed where Chris Paul was able to attract a ton of attention when he was playing in the pick and roll because he's such an amazing mid-range shooter that the defense just has to respect him from there. They want to get a contest up. They want to get a body on him when he's in position to put up those shots because they want to try to impact his shot as much as possible in the hopes that he ends up missing it, right? Because if you just leave him wide open, the chances of him making it are going to be, a lot higher, right? It's almost kind of similar to Steph Curry's off-ball gravity, right? When Steph Curry's moving off the ball, the whole defense is paying attention to him because they don't want him to get any sliver of space because that's all he needs. He has such a quick release. He's such a deadly shooter. If you give him any inch of space, he's just going to knock it down. So it's kind of similar in a way to Steph in the sense that when he's playing in the pick and roll, when he's in that mid-range area, the whole defense is paying attention to him. They've got their eyes locked in on him, right? They don't want him to get any space there. So it causes guys to make defensive lapses on that end and maybe leave guys open because they're trying so hard not to give him any room in that area. And it's going to leave shooters open all season long. Chris Paul is an extremely intelligent basketball player. He's going to be able to find those guys and get them open looks, more times than not. Chris Paul also brings this team another clutch player that they can rely on going down the stretch of games. We've seen that Devin Booker can hit game winners and hit big shots in his career, but getting Chris Paul just gives them another guy that can do that kind of stuff, right? He can make big plays down the stretch. He's going to find guys in right situations. He's going to be able to hit shots. He's going to be able to help this team get a lot more wins in these late game situations where it's close, within 5 points, 5 minutes left type of situations. Chris Paul is great in those moments. And tonight, it was more of the same as it was last year. He had a nice defensive play. He had a steal. He took it all the way down the court and drew a foul. He hit a big mid-range jumper late in the game to put them up, I believe. He was just great. And then I like at the end that he deferred to Devin Booker. He let Devin Booker take that last shot when they were already up 2, but he let Devin Booker kind of take that shot that was the dagger shot for the team, right? Because it's good for Booker's development to take more of those shots. Obviously, Chris Paul is capable of hitting them when he needs to, but it's good for Booker to take them because it's just going to take his game to another level and make him more confident too, because after hitting that shot, it just shows that his teammates believe in him, that CP3, this new veteran player that's one of the greatest point guards of all time, he believes in him. He trusts in him to take the shot at the end of games and hit it consistently. So this Suns team is definitely scary, and the other teams in the West should definitely keep an eye on them because they defend at a high level, they shoot the 3-ball well, and they were still able to beat a good Dallas team without their 3 best players playing well, because CP3, D-Book, and DeAndre Ayton, those guys had off nights by their standards, and yet they were still able to beat a good team in the West. So when those 3 are clicking, when DeAndre Ayton is able to play more minutes because he's not in foul trouble, and when D-Book and CP3's shots are falling on offense, this team has the potential to score 120 to 130 points on any given night. But then on the defensive end, they have the potential to keep a team in the 90s or at least the low hundreds, right? So they can be great on both ends, and they can be a nightmare matchup for most teams in the entire NBA. And they're going to be tough to beat. They're going to be really fun to watch too. I can't wait to see them playing when all their guys are hitting shots and their stars are playing better. I can't wait to see what they have in store, man. I think they can be really dangerous in the West.